OpenAI has finally released an official ChatGPT desktop application for Linux. Yeah, finally. Not an unofficial wrapper, not somebody packaging the website and uploading it to GitHub. This is the real OpenAI application with official Linux packages, updates and support. And after years of these big AI desktop experiences happening mainly on Windows and macOS, this is huge. So I installed it and opened ChatGPT on Ubuntu. And my first thought was, wait a minute, I already have this because ChatGPT has worked perfectly fine inside Firefox for years. So why should I install a dedicated application just to do something my browser already does? Well, that's where things get interesting, because once you look beyond the chat window, this app can do something the browser experience fundamentally cannot do in the same way. Oh, this can do so much more. And that difference actually justifies installing it. This is actually a big upgrade. Let's jump right in. Alright, first let's quickly look at what OpenAI has actually released here, because this is a little bit more substantial than just putting ChatGPT inside another window. This is an official OpenAI application and right now it is being released as a Linux preview. Ubuntu 24.04 and 26.04, Debian 13, Fedora 43 and 44 are officially supported. And OpenAI is providing proper full native Deb and RPM packages for both x64 and ARM64 systems. I'm kind of glad that this is not a Flatpak or a Snap. So yeah, this is not somebody on GitHub taking the ChatGPT website, putting it inside a wrapper and calling it ChatGPT for Linux. OpenAI is actually building the Linux packages, signing them, maintaining software repositories and integrating updates directly within the package managers like apt and DNF. And that matters because for a very long time, Linux users have been used to getting the unofficial versions, the community versions, or just being told to use the website. And the big thing here, application itself brings ChatGPT, Work and Codex together into one desktop experience. That's going to significantly enhance or expand what you can do with ChatGPT now. Now, installing this thing is pretty straightforward. Download the package, click on it and install it and you're basically done. The interesting question is, what happens when you actually open it? So here's the ChatGPT application and here's ChatGPT running inside Firefox. And initially, I have to be honest, the browser still makes a ridiculously strong case for itself. It's cleaner and simpler. If I want to ask ChatGPT a question, both do it. If I want to research something, both do it. Upload an image, both. Write something, both. Have a normal conversation with ChatGPT, again, both. And actually in some situations, I prefer the browser. I can have 5 different ChatGPT conversations sitting in 5 different tabs, jump between them instantly and have ChatGPT living alongside everything else I'm already doing on the web. No additional application, no extra workflow to learn, it's already there. So if this Linux application was simply chatgpt.com with its own icon sitting in the app menu, I genuinely wouldn't care. I mean, why use another application to open something I already have open in Firefox? And this is why initially I wasn't really convinced, but then I started using ChatGPT with files that were actually sitting on my computer. In addition to chat features, you're also getting Codex and work features, and that changes the game completely. And that's where this app suddenly started making a lot more sense. Let's say I'm working on a small project. I've got some notes here, a few Markdown files, maybe a CSV file, a README and a couple of other documents. Normally, if I wanted ChatGPT to help me with all this, the workflow looks something like this. Open the file, copy the content, go to ChatGPT, paste it, ask ChatGPT to make some changes, copy the response, come back to the file, paste it. Then realize I need another change, back to ChatGPT, copy paste, copy paste. And after a while, you're basically working as a human USB cable between ChatGPT and your own computer. This is where the desktop application starts getting really interesting. You can give ChatGPT access to a local folder or a project. Now, instead of manually bringing every individual piece of information into ChatGPT, it can work with the files that are already there. For example, I can give it this folder and ask it to go through these documents, understand what they're about, find information across them, reorganize that information and create a new file based on what it found. Then I can ask it to take that newly created file and perform another operation on it, and then another one. This is the important part. It's not just that ChatGPT can read a file. Uploading one file to ChatGPT has been possible for a long time. The big difference is that these files can now become part of a larger workflow. ChatGPT can inspect what you gave it access to, work with those files, create something, modify something, and then use the result of one step in the next step. and that completely changes the way you interact with AI. ChatGPT is no longer just a separate place where you go ask for information and then carry that information back into your actual work. Now it can actually participate in the work itself, and this, in my opinion, is the biggest reason why having a desktop application starts making sense. You can delegate work to ChatGPT and now it will get it done meaningfully. For developers, this gets even more powerful with Codex. You can open a local code project, let Codex understand the repository, make changes, work across multiple files, and handle much more complicated development workflows. I'm not going to turn this into a Codex video, but the underlying idea applies to everybody. Documents, notes, data, projects, whatever you're working with. You don't need to be a programmer to understand why an AI that can work with your actual files is more useful than an AI trapped inside a browser tab. And hey, real quick, if you want your desktop to look like this or this or this, check out my app Theme Studio, which lets you completely transform your GNOME desktop from one place. Your GTK theme, the shell, your icons, the accent color, and a matching 4K wallpaper, all of it together in one click. And you get 30 pre-configured looks, each with its own personality. Aurora Circuit, Neon Rain Alley, Alablaster Arc, if you want something clean and bright. Same computer, completely different moods every single time. GTK theme plus icon pack plus an exclusive 4K wallpaper to complete the look. You can also play around with 15 GTK theme families, 17 icon families, and hundreds of variants sitting underneath them. So every theme comes in a whole range of color options: light, dark, red, green, yellow, and plenty in between. And look, theming on GNOME has been essentially dead since GNOME 40 broke it architecturally. Want one theme? Pull the source off GitHub, compile it, install it, hope it works, and that's just one GTK theme. With Theme Studio, everything is ready to go in one app. So definitely go check it out. Link is in the description below. Getting back to the video. Now, all of this sounds great, but this is Linux. So naturally, we need to ask the important questions. Does it behave properly? Does it work on Wayland? And most importantly, how much RAM is this thing eating? I've been using it on GNOME and generally the application feels very responsive. Opening chats, scrolling, dragging files into the application, resizing the window, all the normal everyday stuff works pretty much exactly as you'd expect. Dark mode looks good, notifications work, and overall this doesn't feel like some half-baked Linux port that was pushed out just so OpenAI could tick a checkbox. Now, as far as resource usage is concerned, in my testing, the ChatGPT application was using around 3 GBs compared to around 400 MBs for similar ChatGPT workload in the browser. But there is an overhead of running the Chrome browser itself, which is another 2 GBs. So yeah, it's comparable, quite similar. I'm not going to make 10 graphs out of this. I just wanted to answer the inevitable question of whether installing ChatGPT is going to vaporize half your RAM. Now, there is one Linux specific caveat here. Native Wayland support is still considered experimental. If you're running a Wayland session, which you most probably are, ChatGPT can use X Wayland where it is available, and OpenAI currently warns that forcing native Wayland can cause problems with things like window positioning, focus, floating windows, and keyboard shortcuts. So this part is definitely still preview level. In my normal usage though, ChatGPT for Linux was a pretty solid experience. While I was okay using it in the browser, I knew what ChatGPT could do with Linux. I've seen it on macOS and Windows and I was envious. I definitely wanted that, so I'm really happy about this one. But has Linux actually reached parity? And this brings us to the other big question. Now that Linux officially has ChatGPT, did we actually catch up with Windows and macOS? Yeah, this was a big step, but not completely, because there is one major part of OpenAI desktop AI vision that Linux still does not get: computer use. And computer use is a pretty big deal because this takes the whole idea we just saw one step further. Right now, ChatGPT on Linux can work with files that you give it access to. Computer use moves from working with your files to working with your computer. This is the kind of technology where AI can interact with graphical interfaces and perform actions through the desktop itself. And that's where having an AI as a desktop application becomes even more interesting. But right now, computer use is available on supported Windows and macOS experiences and not Linux. OpenAI does say Linux support is coming later. With computer use features, you can literally ask it to open GIMP and make some edits on your photos, maybe color correction, maybe some cropping, and tell it to do the same thing for all the photos in a particular folder, and you will see ChatGPT take control of your desktop, open GIMP, and do those tasks right in front of your eyes, all autonomously. People are using this feature for all sorts of things, and yeah, it's massive. But we do get browser use here. You can install the Chrome browser and let ChatGPT do things on your behalf in absolutely any website you want. There are a few other gaps as well. Remote host support currently favors Windows and macOS. Some of OpenAI's deeper desktop context features are still Mac specific. And as we just saw, native Wayland support itself is still experimental. So while Linux has not reached complete feature parity, but I also don't think it would be right to say that Linux got some crippled version of ChatGPT. That's not what this is. We have the core desktop workspace, we have local files and projects, we have ChatGPT, we have work, we have Codex. What we're missing are some of the deeper pieces of OpenAI's larger desktop agent vision. And considering this is literally labeled as a preview, I think that's an important distinction. So yeah, Linux got the real application. So after using both side by side, should you actually install ChatGPT on Linux? Yeah, I think you should. But I don't think you need to stop using ChatGPT in your browser. If you're somebody who opens ChatGPT once or twice a day, asks a question, researches something, and closes it again, the browser is still fantastic. In fact, if I'm rapidly jumping between 5 or 6 different conversations, I still prefer the browser tabs. It's simple, it's fast, it works. But if ChatGPT is becoming part of your everyday workflow, if you're working with documents, projects, local files, or longer multi-step tasks, the desktop application starts becoming much more useful. And I think that's the key distinction. The browser is great when ChatGPT is something you're asking things. The desktop app starts making sense when ChatGPT becomes something you're actually working with. So for me, these two don't replace each other. They complement each other. ChatGPT.com stays in my browser, but the desktop app, yeah, that's staying on my computer too. I think I'm going to figure out some fantastic use cases for the app. So that's ChatGPT on Linux. And honestly, I'm just really happy that this exists. Ever since the whole AI scene took off, I had this nagging feeling that desktop Linux was being left out of the AI race completely. And look, whether you personally use AI or not, that was a terrible thing for desktop Linux as a whole. Because think about it, in a couple of years, when AI is deeply integrated into everybody's computing life, an operating system without those capabilities is just a weaker option, a less attractive option. It would lag significantly behind Windows and macOS in what it can do. And that means fewer people choose Linux, fewer users, and that's how projects fade. Now, I know I'm talking about very far-fetched things here, but let me be brutally honest with you. With the capabilities of AI shooting over the moon every single day, if Linux had been left behind while Windows and macOS got all of this, the gap would have become so humongous that even I would have chosen macOS over Linux. Yeah, me. And that's exactly why this matters. You cannot be left behind. Whether you use these AI features today or not, having that option on Linux is big. So yeah, I'm genuinely happy that both ChatGPT and Claude, two of the biggest players in this space, have brought their products to Linux. Desktop Linux is in the race now, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, definitely consider subscribing to the channel and also leave me a big thumbs up. And hey, one last thing, if you do want your Linux desktop to look absolutely stunning, go check out my app, Theme Studio. Your whole GNOME desktop completely transformed in one single click. Link is in the description below, so definitely go have a look. Next up, check out the top 15 hottest hacks that will supercharge your Linux desktop's performance to the next level and truly unlock your Linux. It's got some really cool tweaks, so definitely don't miss that. Alright, this is Linux Techs signing out.